Hi, welcome to the video. So today I'm going to walk you through some of the things, one method that I use so when I get stuck in a rut where if I'm improvising, everything's just sounding boring and the same. I like to then look at things in a systematic fashion to try and find new ways to approach things. And hopefully from that it inspires new licks and new ideas. So one of the licks that I wrote for this video using this technique, I'll play right now. So. Okay, so let's go and jump into it. So basically, when you're playing a fast scale run, the main thing that I want to do is have it not sound like a scale, because there's nothing more boring than just hearing a scale. Now you can get away with it, and there's some great like classical music that uses some straight scale runs, especially if you play it really fast. But my goal is when I'm playing fast licks, to have them still sound interesting even at slow speeds. So because the scale is so recognizable, it is easy to identify. So even though most music is created from scales, my goal is to have it not sound like they're created from scales, to sound like there's something on their own, something musical. So how do you do this without that? You can do things like change dynamics, rhythm, add notes outside of a key, but if I narrow it down and just limit it, because by limiting your possibilities, then it really forces you to come up with new or innovative ways to make it interesting. So if I take away all those possibilities of hammer-ons, pull-offs, etc., then I can just play with the notes. So if I'm playing with the notes in a key, there's only 7 notes to play with. And I need to get them out of order, because as long as they're in order, then it's going to sound, in this case I'm playing the key of C major, which is what I'm going to be playing throughout this video. It's going to sound like a C major scale, or A minor, or whatever I'm starting on. So how do I get them out of order? I can skip notes, which, for example, if I'm playing A minor, I play A minor pentatonic, that's what it's doing, is leaving off the middle note of these 3 here, or the last note here. So by skipping notes, or skip even more notes, you could get an arpeggio, or you get any of the different intervals and stuff. So leaving notes off, simplifying the scale, or skipping notes, however you want to think about it, will make it sound less like a scale. That's one possibility. The other one is changing the direction of the notes. So if I'm playing here and I'm switching directions, that will make it sound less scalar too, because it's not going A, B, C in order necessarily. What I'm going to focus on in this video is skipping notes. So a simple way to start is take a scale and just leave off like the 3rd note if you're doing a 3-note per string scale on every other string. So then even at a slow speed, that sounds quite a bit more interesting, I think, than playing all the notes. It starts to sound a little bit less like a scale. And then when you start playing a little bit faster, especially if you don't go through the whole thing, go through the whole thing and start sounding like a scale again. So usually, unless I'm going to add the direction changes and other things to it, I'm not going to run through a whole scale. So let's go ahead and jump into this in more depth. So I'm going to jump back to A minor, and you're just do 3 strings this time. So again, keeping it in a small section. Now I could do it just like I did before, just leave off the 3rd note on the middle string. In this case though, because there's only 3 strings, I don't have the 4th string to leave off a note on 2. I'm going to pick another string to leave off a note, so 2 of the strings don't have all the notes in them. So let's go and just do this. Let's leave off the 3rd note again, but you can do anything. This is again where it jumps into this rabbit hole of endless possibilities, because I can leave off on any of these and just play the first 2 notes, the last 2 notes, or the outside notes. So I can leave off any one of the 3 notes in a 3-note scale, 3-note per string scale, on any of the strings. So if I take this again, and all this will be tabbed out, on here, that I'm playing, and you can download it for free on my Patreon page, but it only costs $1 a month to become a member, so I'd appreciate it if any of you guys can become members also, but I'll always keep it free to everyone. So anyways, you got this pattern, and that starts to sound less like a scale than again. In this case, I like ascending. It doesn't sound like it wants to end if I go in a B, so if you could bring it back to your C note, or go up to your A note. to make a sound resolved. Another option would be, let's start on the last two notes. Now that sounds good either direction, I think. And to make it more interesting, again, I'm going to keep changing it more and more until I get to where it's not recognizable as a scale so much and it sounds more like a lick. Right now, it still to me sounds like a scale too much. So I'll combine those two ideas. So I'm going to sing here and then descend on that one. But I still have that scale run. So let's take one of those notes out of that too. So let's go ahead and take out the middle note this time. So we've taken off the last note, we've taken off the first note, now we're going to take off the middle one. So I basically have a 2-note per string run, then I come back with a 3. It's coming back, I don't have to play the same way up and down, ascending and descending. So now to me that's starting to sound a little bit more, less like a scale, but it's still, because I'm ascending and descending it's a little bit too much. So let's change the ascending one more time. And at this point, then I think it'll start sounding like a lick. So rather than having 2 notes here, I'm going to leave one off and only have 1 note, because you can really do it, simplify it down as much as you want to 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, or if you're doing 4-note ones, you can do 4 notes. So then you get that, and to me that's now sounding less like a scale, more like a lick. It's basically, by leaving off this note, I ended up with a little A minor run in the middle, the A minor arpeggio. And you could just play even the A minor arpeggio, and that would be fine too. But I'm just keeping it within the structure that we started from. Okay, so now at this point, what I would do, since now it's kind of getting to a point where I kind of like it, it sounds like a lick, is to say, okay, now I want to be able to use this in more than just my A minor position on the first 3 strings. So I'm going to take the same notes and play it in different octaves. So you end up with something like that. So you can play it anywhere like that. And then I'm going to go a step further and say, okay, I can play it on major and off minor flat 5 and off the other notes in the key, and I'm going to actually get different sounds, but still somewhat similar because I'm going to keep the same pattern. So this is how I take licks and create drills from them to improve my licks, and then go back and forth, and from the drills I create new licks, from the licks I create new drills, and it becomes this vicious circle that hopefully keeps generating new ideas. So I'm going to go ahead and play this through the whole scale now. So if I start here, now any of these you can slide on the first note or not. So the same pattern though. Now in this position it's going to be a major. There's the one we already played. Now this one I'm not going to slide because I want to be on this finger, because that's your minor flat 5. And some of those you might not like, but if you find 1 or 2 more shapes you like, then great. That's either way. It's a good exercise to get you seeing the neck more and seeing possibilities. And then if you do find ones you like, you can add those in. So now at this point, I'm going to say, okay, so I've got that one idea. Let's make variations on that. So we'll keep the same basic structure, but just changing even 1 note can make a sound difference. So for example, now instead of doing that, I'm going to leave off this note and only do 1 note, but use the second note instead of the first one. So now if you listen, and I'm going to leave off this note also. So you end up with something like that. So this shape is just octaves with a 4th in between it, which is a shape that I like to do. Is a simple shape, and you can sweep it. So at this point you could keep going. I could do a major, I could do a minor. I'm not going to jump into every possibility though. So if you like a shape like this, that's where you could then take that same sort of thing and move it across the entire neck like I did in that first exercise. So let me go ahead and run through the scale and the lick that I did at the beginning. So now if you notice this part that starts off, that's just from me moving it down an octave. So it's actually the same notes which actually gives me an A minor arpeggio sound again. Then I shift up into this position. So I'm using that other option. And then I end it just on the C. So again, the possibilities are endless on this. Because do this on any string, every string, just think, I've got 3 notes. If I'm doing a 3-note per string, I can do the outside notes, the first 2 notes, or the other ones, the last 2 notes. So you can, now this, you can just improvise like I'm doing here and just get comfortable moving through in these different possibilities. You can also go up into 4-note per string ones and then leave off certain notes in that. Anyway, so let me show you the tab on this. So the top there is just doing a C major, then I do it, building it through those different variations. The scale one being here, when it first becomes arpeggio, or the other one using the octave and fourth there, and continuing back down, the actual lick is right here on this line, and then at the end there is that exercise where I moved it through the whole neck. Alright, so I'm going to leave it at that. Please like, subscribe, leave comments. All that stuff helps with the algorithm, and I really am trying to get my videos seen by more people, because sometimes only 50, 100 people are seeing my videos. So I need YouTube to kind of show my videos as more of an option, which you can help by doing any of those things I just said. Thanks for watching.